You get your first paycheck, pro hockey. What do you do with it?
You know what I did? It's funny. I think my first pro paycheck, I got myself a dog. I
Nice. That's the first
yeah,
answer we've gotten on dog. That's great. Usually it's car or watch.
no, like I said, I don't know my first paycheck, but it was my most significant paycheck for sure. And it's funny. It's a good story, actually. I tell it to a lot of people, but I don't think I've ever told it on a podcast. My best friend, he actually, his jersey's retired in Pensacola. He passed away a couple years ago from cancer. His name is Dan Bucella, and he was a couple years older than me. And but he looked after me a lot. He was from Scarborough, Ontario. And he was, 5-year major junior guy, and then played in the minors for 4 or 5 years before me. And I was 20, and he was say 24. And Bucky looked after me, and Bucky had this little dog named Joey, and it was like a little Yorkie or something. And Joey was wild. This thing was just wild, and Bucky was like, we need to get Joey a friend, So we went to the pound, and I got this tiny little, like a beagle Chihuahua mutt kind of cross, named Steve-O. But I didn't have enough money to pay like all the vet fees and adoption fees and everything. So Bucky helped me out, and then I asked our coach to help me out. And John Gibson was our coach. Gibby, he goes, Buxman, you can't even look after yourself. How the f- are you gonna look after a dog? And it's funny because old Steve-O lived to a ripe old age of 16. He lasted that long.
Holy shit. Man's best friend for a reason, right?
Oh man, when I lost old Steve-O, it was a tough day. I had to put him down, and then tragically, it was the same day as the Humboldt Broncos accident
Oh,
happened.
wow.
And Darcy Hogan, who was the coach of the Broncos, was my first coach in junior. So it was just a tough day. I laid down for a nap after putting my best friend of 16 years down. And then I wake up, and that's the news I got, and like that whole thing, that bus accident, that gutted me. I didn't, other than Darcy, I didn't know anybody, but I drove that highway so many fucking times playing in the SJ. And, like, it's just knowing what went through those kids' mind when it happened, it was like,
Well, like
I think about it.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I think any hockey player that's ever gotten on a bus and traveled anywhere, I don't care what level of hockey, I mean, that could have happened to any one of us.
Oh man, the I guess the comfort I get in that situation was like those boys are having the time of their life. If I could choose a way to go, I'd obviously want to go out with my clothes off. But if if there's another way to go, that would probably be the way to do it. On a bus with 20 of my best friends playing a game that I still love just as much 20 years later as I do now.
I mean, doesn't it put it into perspective, though? I mean, like, we've done bus trips together, Schmidt. It could have been just as easily been us, could have been anybody else, and just makes you appreciate that family aspect and that it could all be like that gone tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I've definitely had some. I've been touch wood. I've had so much luck on the bus, you guys. I've never had anything. The worst thing that ever happened to me was we were going to Danbury from Columbus, and our bus driver made a wrong turn. I was in my sleeper, and I woke up at 5 a.m. thinking we were pulling up to the rink in Danbury because you could feel the bus lurching all over. And I got up and walked to the front and opened the curtain, and we were like downtown Times Square in rush hour. The bus driver's like, I took a wrong turn somewhere back in Jersey, man.
Hey, listen, since you've been on a few bus rides, you got any dirt on old T Ridge here?
Uh-oh.
No, he was a great teammate. And like I said, the older I got, like bus rides, I got more used to them. So usually by the time I get on the bus, I just crawl into my bunk bed, or if it's a coach bus, I have enough experience. I can make myself a big old fort in between the two seats at the back. And I'm not a big social guy on the bus anymore. I can't I can't even look at my phone because I get such a bad headache. So if I get on the bus, I know how to turn it off like that, and I'm out cold.
Remember
I
in
hope
Motor
that-
City with Whitey when we came to town, and I was super fortunate. I know one of your best friends, fellow Winnipegger, not
Yeah.
Dave. Dave's a Fort Mac guy, but anyway, you're out number 2-1 fella. But anyway, I remember our first road trip together. We were going to Binghamton, and Whitey knew within seconds. He's like, "This isn't going to fly." So he takes off the bus, goes to Rona, gets a drill, gets a bunch of wood, and he makes like a makeshift bed so he's not sitting on the floor in the seats.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you mentioned, just making the best of what you have to do.
Yeah, you get, like I said, the longer you do things, the better you get at them. But I can travel just as comfy on a coach bus as I can on a sleeper bus. Like I remember we were flying in the playoffs when I was in Columbus, and unless it's a charter flight, I would just rather travel by bus in the minors. Like I was fortunate to have in the Central League days, I was fortunate we chartered from time to time, but like if it even, like if you're flying just regular, commercial, I would just soon take the bus because I can crawl in there and cuddle myself in, and it's the fastest way to travel, man. You just go to sleep.
We do a hockey podcast called Sling the Biscuit every single Sunday. The clips, the bite-sized chunks are right here. Only the hits, the full-length show, which you don't want to miss, is right here. That's Dave. I'm Travis. We'll see you soon.